What is poppin', everyone? My name is Ghiman Mckinney, or you can just call me Juice because that is my nickname. Today, I'm giving you guys my 2020 NFL first round mock draft. And in this mock draft, I'm going to be basing it on what I would do if I was each team, because let's be real, I cannot predict what each NFL team is going to do. I could try, but most likely, I'm going to swing and miss. So either way, I'm not going to predict what is going to happen in the draft. I'm going to tell you what I would do if I was the general manager of each team. Who should the Bengals take? Who should the Chargers take? I'll go over all that stuff, and let's get started, man. First overall, the Bengals, I got them selecting Joe Burrow, the quarterback out of LSU. To me, he's the clear-cut best quarterback in this draft class. This is a guy that knows how to read defenses. This is a guy that's pinpoint accurate, throws a very good deep ball, very good at understanding and reading defenses. Like I said, I got 28 college starts, so experience is not an issue here. Now, I don't see Joe Burrow being a generational talent, meaning I don't see him being the next Aaron Rodgers, don't see him being the next Patrick Mahomes, but I do see him potentially being the next franchise-changing quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals. I really like this pick right here. And listen, please stop saying that Joe Burrow only did it for 1 year. He was only good because of Joe Brady. The year that he had this past year was the greatest season in college football history. And when Joe Brady puts on a helmet and throws touchdown passes, come talk to me. It was not Joe Brady. It was Joe Burrow that made that LSU offense really, truly go. He put in the time. He put in the work. He's a great player. I got to take Joe Burrow number 1 overall. Number 2 overall, the Redskins. I'm going to have them taking Chase Young, the edge rusher out of Ohio State. In my eyes, he's the best player in this draft. I think he's the best pass rusher to come out of the draft since Khalil Mack. I see him being a Hall of Fame type level player. I think the potential's off the charts right here. And we've seen guys that are freakish athletes that have the size, the strength, the power, which Chase Young does, but we've seen guys that haven't really had a whole lot of production to back that up. Chase Young, 21 tackles for loss, 16.5 sacks last year. I'll take that any day of the week. The Redskins, if they add Chase Young, they're going to have one of the best defensive lines next year. They'd have 4 first-round picks on that defensive line. And listen, I think you got to give Dwayne Haskins a fair chance. Listen, if he doesn't perform well this year, hey, you can draft Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields next year. I believe Dwayne Haskins is your building block and your future franchise quarterback. He showed a lot of promise at the end of the year. I'm not moving off Dwayne Haskins. I still believe he can be a great quarterback. I got to take Chase Young at number 2 overall. Number 3 overall, Detroit Lions. I got them taking Isaiah Simmons. I understand that a lot of Lions fans really want Jeffrey Okudah, and I do believe Jeffrey Okudah is a great player. But I gotta take Isaiah Simmons here. I'm going best player available. I believe long-term, he's going to provide a much more bigger impact for the Detroit Lions than Jeffrey Okudah would. That's just my opinion. I think he's a generational talent. I see him being an all-pro level player at the next level at the very least. Listen, this guy, he can play middle linebacker, he can play outside linebacker, he can play safety, he can play quarterback. He's just so good and so versatile and such a great athlete. 6'4", 240 pounds, ran the 40-yard dash in 4.3 seconds. I mean, this guy is off the charts as far as his athletic ability. Very smart player as well. And listen, when you have that Ray Lewis in the middle of your defense, the Bobby Wagner or the Luke Kuechly to really quarterback your defense, I believe it makes a world of a difference. And I gotta go Isaiah Simmons right here. Number 4 overall, I got the Giants taking JEDRICK, the offensive lineman out of Alabama. The guy is 6'5", 320 pounds. I believe he's the safest pick as far as these offensive linemen go. The Giants need to improve the offensive line, and with Isaiah Simmons gone off the board, I think it's very obvious that you have to go offensive line right here. You got to protect Daniel Jones. I believe Daniel Jones is your franchise quarterback for the future. I believe Saquon Barkley and that entire Giants offense could really benefit from this move. I really like Will Hernandez and Kevin Zeitler. Those are 2 guards that the Giants have right now, but they really need to improve that tackle group. So I think JEDRICK Wills can come right in, be a day 1 starter for this team, and I like this pick right here at number 4. At number 5 overall, got the Dolphins taking Jordan Love, the quarterback out of Utah State. And I know Dolphins fans are saying, where's Tua? Where's Tua? Listen, I like Tua Tagovailoa a lot, and I do believe that Tua at this moment is more NFL ready than Jordan Love. But I'm going with my gut feeling, and I'm going off potential, because I do believe that long term, if Jordan Love reaches his full potential, he will probably be the best quarterback from this draft class. And listen, here's the facts. Jordan Love is more durable than Tua. He's got a bigger arm than Tua. He's more athletic than Tua. And I just believe he has much more upside and potential than Tua Tagovailoa. Listen, this guy can make all the throws. He's what you look for in today's NFL. Big, strong arm kid that can run around, make a bunch of plays off platform, change arm angles. Jordan Love is just a physically gifted quarterback. Natural thrower of the football as well. Has shown the ability to win with touch and accuracy. And I do believe this is a great situation that Jordan Love would be walking into. You got Ryan Fitzpatrick, who in my opinion can be the day one starter. Jordan Love can sit the bench and learn the offense and slowly progress until he's ready to actually play. I don't believe Jordan Love is quite ready to play yet, but I do believe if you're patient with him, if you bring him along the right way, he can be the next franchise-changing quarterback. I see a guy that has Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers level potential. I don't think he'll ever quite meet those standards, because that, to me, those two guys are the most talented quarterbacks ever. But I do believe Jordan Love can be a really good franchise-changing quarterback if he reaches his full potential. And up next, I got the Chargers. They're taking Tua Tagovailoa. You know, I'm really just splitting hairs right here. You could take Tua at number 5 or Jordan Love at number 6. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm going to stick with Tua right here. I don't think the gap is too wide between these two guys. Tua Tagovailoa is a natural thrower of the football, very accurate, very high football IQ, very good feel in the pocket, knowing when to escape pressure, knowing when to make the throws. He has enough arm strength to me to make all the requisite throws. To me, if he's healthy, he's going to be a good franchise quarterback. And the Chargers, they've addressed their offensive line. They've got a very good defense. They got some very good skill position players. I really like their running back, Austin Eckler. They're ready to win now. All they really need is a franchise quarterback. Now, I do worry about the injuries. I am very concerned about the injuries and Tua's ability to stay healthy, and he was not great on an even playing field, last year and even this past year a little bit at Alabama. When he's had to play teams that have elite defenses, has not performed as well. But either way, I do believe the Chargers will get a very good franchise quarterback if Tua pans out very well. At number 7 overall, the Panthers, they're going to go Jeffrey Okudah, quarterback out of Ohio State. I believe he's probably the best player available on the board at this point. I know Derrick Brown would be a pretty solid fit right here, but I'm going to go Jeffrey Okudah. I believe long-term, he will provide a bigger impact than Derrick Brown would for this team. You got James Bradberry, who left the team up in free agency. He went to the Giants, so it would fill a need as well. Jeffrey Okudah, to me, is easily the best defensive back in this draft class. I mean, he's long, he's lengthy, he's fast, he's smooth. I believe the Panthers would be getting a very good, solid starting quarterback from day number 1. And I do believe that if Jeffrey Okudah really pans out, he can become an elite cover corner. Number 8 overall, I got the Cardinals taking Tristan Wirfs, tackle out of Iowa. I do believe Tristan Wirfs' ceiling is off the charts. He has a boatload of potential. I think you have to go offensive tackle right here. The Cardinals need to improve the offensive line. Kyler Murray is your franchise quarterback. The number 1 priority going forward should be to protect Kyler Murray and surround him with enough talent for him to be successful long term and for him to be able to stay healthy. I believe Tristan Wirfs is a plug-and-play tackle that will play very well in Cliff Kingsbury's offense. He's an excellent fit for what the Cardinals like to do. I do believe he could play guard potentially at the next level, but I see the Cardinals sliding him in at tackle, and I believe he's going to be a great player for the Cardinals long term. Number 9 overall, the Jaguars. I'm going to have them taking Derrick Brown, the defensive tackle out of Auburn. He's arguably the best player available on the board at this point right here. Listen, the Jaguars, they lost a ton of players on defense. They lost Calais Campbell, lost Marcel Darius. They need to start rebuilding that defense and reshaping the defensive line especially. So I think that Derrick Brown comes right in and becomes a solid starter for this team. I do believe he has the ability to be an elite run stopper at the next level. Don't know if he'll ever be quite as impactful in the passing game as far as getting after the quarterback. By the way, I think this is great value for getting Derrick Brown at number 9, and I do believe he's a great pick for the Jaguars. Number 10 overall, got the Browns selecting Andrew Thomas, offensive tackle out of Georgia. He's one of the more safer picks in this NFL draft, in my opinion. The Browns don't really have a lot of holes on their roster. They got elite wide receivers. They've got a franchise quarterback in Baker Mayfield that I still believe in. I know he took a step back last year, but I still believe that Baker Mayfield is your guy going forward. And listen, one of the reasons why Baker Mayfield did take a step back this past season was because the offensive line for Cleveland was just not that good. They need to improve that area of their team. They went out and signed Jack Conklin in the offseason to a long-term deal to help improve the offensive line. But I do believe if you add Andrew Thomas, that really solidifies that group for the Cleveland Browns. I think he's very strong, very athletic, very good in the run game, very good in the pass game, and I believe he will be able to help protect Baker Mayfield. Number 11 overall, got the Jets taking Mekhi Becton, the offensive lineman out of Louisville. This guy is a freak of nature, 6'7", 364 pounds. He might have the most potential out of these offensive linemen in this draft class. The guy is a freak of nature. Now, there are some red flags. Does need to work on his lateral quickness. Has not, reached his full potential quite yet. He needs to unlock some of those traits. He needs to work on his fundamentals. But either way, I think this fills a need for the Jets. The Jets' offensive line is just not that good. You could go wide receiver right here. But again, this is one of the deepest wide receiver drafts in a few decades, I would say. So you can address the wide receiver position in round number 2 or number 3, or even later in the draft. So I think the Mekhi Becton is a guy you should go with right here. The potential's off the charts. He fills a need, and I believe he's going to be able to protect Sam Darnold next year. Jerry Jeudy to the Raiders is up next at number 12 overall. The Raiders have some very solid parts on offense, but they really need that true number 1 wide receiver to help out Derek Carr. I don't love Derek Carr as a quarterback. I like him, but I don't love him. You could potentially look to upgrade here because let's be real. You're in a division with Patrick Mahomes and now Drew Lock. I think Drew Lock has a lot of potential. You need a franchise-changing quarterback that can at least match up with those guys. So I don't know if Derek Carr is that guy, but one way to find out is to give him that established number 1 wide receiver, because outside of Amari Cooper for a couple years, he's never really had an elite wide receiver by his side. Jerry Jeudy is the best and most safest pick at the wide receiver position in this draft. May not have the highest ceiling, but I at least see him being a solid starter in the NFL. He's able to create separation with his great route running. To me, he's the best route runner in this draft. He can go deep. He can run short routes. Jerry Jeudy's everything you look for in an NFL wide receiver. I believe this is a great pick for the Raiders right here. Up next, the 49ers go CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver out of Oklahoma at number 13 overall. Listen, Jimmy Garoppolo is a solid quarterback, but I don't ever know if he's ever going to be elite. Jimmy Garoppolo's fine, but not great. So he needs as many weapons as he can get, in my opinion. You got George Kittle, you got Deebo Samuel, you just lost Emmanuel Sanders, and to me, Emmanuel Sanders is really the guy that made the 49ers that true Super Bowl contender last year. He's the guy that really opened up their offense. They lose him. They need to replace Emmanuel Sanders with a true number 1 wide receiver. I do believe CeeDee Lamb can be that guy. Very good jump ball wide receiver. Hard to bring down. Excellent after the catch. Doesn't have elite speed, but either way, I think that he's going to be a very solid player in Kyle Shanahan's offense. If Kyle Shanahan were to ever get his hands on him in this situation, Kyle Shanahan is lucky enough to draft CeeDee Lamb, and I think that CeeDee Lamb would be a great fit for that 49ers offense. All right, up next, the Buccaneers. I'm going to have them taking Henry Ruggs, the wide receiver out of Alabama, the most explosive player in this year's draft. I truly love this fit right here. Listen, the Buccaneers next year, if they add Henry Ruggs, they're going to be able to line up Mike Evans, one of the 5 best wide receivers in all football, Chris Godwin, who to me is one of the best number 2 wide receivers in all football, O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate were already 2 of the best tight ends in all football. Now you add the most explosive player in the draft in Henry Ruggs, that to me is just a game changer. He ran the 40-yard dash in 4.27 seconds. And what was Tom Brady's number 1 complaint in New England? I don't have great wide receiver weapons. I don't have weapons. Tom Brady was always complaining about those weapons this past season. Well, guess what, Tom Brady? Now you have arguably one of the best wide receiver corps in all football after this addition. You could go offensive line here, but most of the great offensive linemen are gone at this point. So I think the Buccaneers need to go Henry Ruggs. This is a great pick right here. I love the fit. Number 15 overall, the Broncos will go JAVON KINLAW, defensive tackle out of South Carolina. He's probably the best player available on the board at this point. You added AJ Boye to the secondary in the offseason, so I don't want to address the defensive back group right here. I think that you've improved that enough by adding Boye. You added Jarrell Casey to the defensive line. Why not go out and add even more talent? Listen, you're in a division with Patrick Mahomes. You need to make life uncomfortable for him 2 times a year when you play him. All right, so I think that JAVON KINLAW would fit right in on that Broncos defensive line, which to me is one of the best defensive lines when healthy in the NFL. Vic Fangio will love moving around JAVON KINLAW on that defensive line. He has so much potential. 6'5", 324 pounds, long, lengthy, everything you look for in a defensive lineman at the D tackle position. I believe this is a great pick right here. Number 16 overall, the Falcons, they're going to go C.J. Henderson, quarterback out of Florida. I believe he's the clear-cut number 2 cornerback in this draft class behind one Jeffrey Okudah. This is a guy that's very fluid, very fast, very smooth. With everything C.J. Henderson does is just smooth, man. There's a lot to like in C.J. Henderson right here. I don't think this is a reach right here at number 16. I believe he's worthy of the 16th overall pick. And let's be real, the Falcons, their secondary was doo-doo last year, okay? It was awful. They just added Dante Fowler in the offseason, so I'm tempted to go edge rusher here, maybe Kevon Chason. But since you added Dante Fowler in the offseason, I believe it's now time to address the secondary. With this 16th overall pick, I believe you get a very good, solid starter in C.J. Henderson and a guy that potentially could become a very good elite cover corner down the road if he reaches his full potential. All right, up next, this might shock some Dallas Cowboy fans, but I'm going to go quarterback right here. I'm going to go Justin Herbert, the quarterback out of Oregon. Listen, I believe that I said it a couple weeks ago in a video. I believe the Dallas Cowboys need to do what the Kansas City Chiefs did, okay, a couple years ago. And that's move off a very good quarterback in Alex Smith to a franchise-changing quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, okay? I believe that if Justin Herbert or Jordan Love are on the board, they have the potential to become a franchise-changing quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. And one day down the road, maybe even an elite quarterback. Listen, I'm not saying that I don't like Dak Prescott. I like Dak Prescott. But I'm not going to pay Dak Prescott $40 million per year. Listen, I'm just not going to do it. For the 12th or 15th best quarterback in all football, $40 million a year is just not ideal for me. Even $30 million per year for me is kind of a reach. And I just believe that long term, if you have Dak Prescott on the Dallas Cowboys, you will always have a ceiling. And while Justin Herbert does have some things that he needs to work on, his mechanics aren't the best. He needs to work on reading defenses. He needs to be a little bit more refined as a quarterback. I believe he needs a little bit more coaching. But I do believe the potential is off the charts with Justin Herbert, and I believe that he can succeed long-term in Dallas. And if he reaches his full potential, I believe that he's going to provide a much higher ceiling for this football team than Dak Prescott could ever provide. Listen, I don't see Dak Prescott ever being an elite quarterback. Justin Herbert, big-time arm. He's mobile. He's big. He's strong. Athletic. He's what you look for in today's NFL. He has physical traits that are off the charts. And if you unlock those things, that's a great quarterback that I'm talking right there, man. And listen, Mike McCarthy was a huge influence on Aaron Rodgers' development a couple years ago when Aaron Rodgers was coming out of Cal. He did not have the best mechanics, was not the most refined quarterback coming out of college. I believe that Mike McCarthy can coach up Justin Herbert a little bit. And I believe long term, this could be one of the steals of the draft. All right, up next, the Miami Dolphins, they go Josh Jones, offensive lineman out of Houston. To me, he's the best offensive lineman on the board at this point, and the Dolphins need to improve their offensive line. They added Eric Flowers in the offseason, which is a good signing, but they need to continue to add to that offensive line. I believe Josh Jones could be a very solid starter for the team. It fills a need. I like the pick right here. I don't think this is a reach at number 18. I like the pick right here. Number 19, the Raiders go Patrick Queen, middle linebacker out of LSU. I believe if you pair Patrick Queen up with Corey Littleton, that has the potential to be one of the best linebacker duos in the NFL. I really like that Corey Littleton signing. The Raiders could go defensive back, but again, there's a lot of defensive backs that I don't feel good about in this draft class outside of Okudah and outside of C.J. Henderson. I think the gap is pretty wide between the next couple corners. So I don't love a whole lot of these defensive backs going forward in this draft. So I think that the value is too good to pass up on with Patrick Queen. This is a guy that can run sideline to sideline, a very physical, linebacker. Is a little bit undersized, but either way, he's a very productive player. I believe he can be a great linebacker at the next level. He was arguably LSU's best defensive player this past year, and I like the pick right here for the Raiders. Number 20 overall, gotta go Trevon Diggs, defensive back out of Alabama. He's a very long, lengthy quarterback that has a lot of potential. Is not the most refined player, but I do believe with some coaching and with some good development, he can become one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. I believe this fills a need for the Jaguars. They lost A.J. Boye. They lost Jalen Ramsey. So they need to continue to rebuild the secondary. I like this pick at number 20. At number 21 overall, I got the Philadelphia Eagles taking Justin Jefferson, wide receiver out of LSU. They give Carson Wentz a reliable target on the outside to throw to. Listen, Alshon Jeffrey's getting old, and he's been injured the past couple seasons. He's on the decline. Deshaun Jackson is a much older player, doesn't quite have the same speed as well. The Eagles need to add to their wide receiver core. I think that Justin Jefferson provides some much-needed depth and some much-needed speed and explosiveness at the wide receiver position that the Eagles were lacking last year. I believe he's going to start day number 1 for this team. I really like the fit. He can go deep. He's a very good jump ball wide receiver, very good at getting contested catches. I just like the fit for Justin Jefferson. I think that he's going to be one of Carson Wentz's favorite targets next year, and I think that he's the appropriate pick for the Eagles at number 21 overall. I really like this fit for Philadelphia right here. Number 22 overall, Kevon Chaisson is too good for Mike Zimmer to pass up right here. I got him going to the Vikings at number 22 overall. The Vikings lost a lot of very talented defensive players this offseason, including Everson Griffin. They need to upgrade their front seven and, fill that need and fill that void opposite of Danielle Hunter. Danielle Hunter needs a edge rusher that can really complement him on the opposite side. I believe that Kevon Chaisson is that guy. Now, he's not the most refined player right now. Does need a little bit more coaching. Does need to add on a little bit more weight for me to really feel good about him wrecking opposing offensive linemen next year. But either way, I believe this is a great fit. Mike Zimmer can really find a creative way to use him. You can move him around. I believe he fits their scheme. And I do believe that the Vikings get a very solid player at number 22 overall. Number 23 overall, I got the Patriots taking AJ Epinesa, defensive end out of Iowa. He's the perfect Bill Belichick defensive player, in my opinion. You can move him around. You can do so many things with him. He can play outside. He can play inside on the defensive line. He can rush the passer. Very good against the run. I just think the Patriots overall get a very solid, complete defensive lineman right here. I think that he's a very safe pick at this point right here at number 23 overall. They lost some very talented players on that front seven. They need to continue to reload on that side of the football. You could address the wide receiver position later in the draft because this draft is filled with great wide receivers. I like to pick at number 23. Same thing with the Saints. They could go wide receiver, but I'm going to stick with them drafting Kenneth Murray, middle linebacker out of Oklahoma. Like I said, you can get a very solid wide receiver in round number 2, number 3, or number 4. And the Saints added Emmanuel Sanders already in the offseason to that wide receiver core. So I think that they got to go with one of the better players available at this point. Kenneth Murray is a very versatile sideline middle linebacker. I think he would fit right in with Demario Davis, who to me is one of the best linebackers that no one talks about in the National Football League. I really like this pick right here for the Saints. Number 25 overall, the Vikings feel a huge need in their secondary by adding Christian Fulton, quarterback out of LSU. You lost Xavier Rhodes, who was in the decline, I will admit, but even when Xavier Rhodes was on the field, the Vikings secondary was just not that good last year. They need to continue to add to that secondary. You're in a division with Aaron Rodgers. Make life uncomfortable for him. Christian Fulton has potential to be a very good, solid quarterback in the NFL. Now, I do think that he needs a little bit of tutelage, a little bit of coaching, but I love his makeup speed. I love his athletic ability. Again, I think he's a little bit overhyped as a prospect, but I do think getting him at number 25 is appropriate. And I do believe that Mike Zimmer will find some very creative ways to use him. I like the fit, and I like the pick right here for the Vikings. Number 26 overall, I got the Dolphins taking Xavier McKinney, safety out of Alabama. You've got your franchise quarterback in Jordan Love. You've added to your offensive line by getting Josh Jones. Let's add to the secondary right here. Ghiman Mckinney is the best safety in this draft class, in my opinion. I think that he's a very safe pick right here. Doesn't have the highest ceiling, but again, I think the Vikings at the very least get a very solid starter, very versatile player. He can play zone coverage. He can play man coverage. He's a willing tackler. He's what you look for in an NFL defensive back. I like this pick right here for the Dolphins. Number 27 overall, the Seattle Seahawks go Yetur Gross-Matos, defensive end out of Penn State. Now, Gross-Matos is more of a developmental type player. I do believe he has a lot of potential, but I don't know if he's ready to make a huge impact right from the jump. But I do believe Pete Carroll can develop this guy, can coach him up. I do believe if he gets a little bit of tutelage, I think he can become a very solid player for the Seahawks defense. I believe he fits a need for this team. This team needs to add to their pass rush. Jadeveon Clowney might leave, and even if Jadeveon Clowney does return, they need to continue to add to that pass rush because outside of Clowney, I don't think they have much of a pass rush. This guy had 9 sacks last year, 14.5 tackles for loss, very good against the run, solid as far as getting after the quarterback. I like this fit, and I like the pick right here. Number 28 overall, the Ravens go Denzel Mims, wide receiver out of Baylor. Listen, the Ravens, their offense was explosive last year. Lamar Jackson took a huge leap, but I do believe this Ravens offense is lacking a true number 1 wide receiver. I like Mark Andrews, I like Hollywood Brown, but I do think that Hollywood Brown is more of a number 2, and I do believe that Mark Andrews is great, but he's a tight end. You need someone on the outside to consistently make Lamar Jackson look better than he actually is, okay? I do believe that Denzel Mims is the perfect fit for the Baltimore Ravens offense. He's a very good run blocker. He's 6'3", about 205 pounds. I mean, this guy's a freak of nature, and I just believe that he could be the true number 1 wide receiver that the Ravens are looking for. I believe it fills a need, and I do believe Denzel Mims at number 28 could actually be a steal. Really like this pick. Number 29 overall, the Titans go Ross Blacklock, defensive tackle out of TCU. I believe it fills a need. You lost Jarrell Casey. You added Vic Beasley in the offseason. You got Harold Landry, who to me still has some potential. So I think that you've addressed your edge rushers. You need to improve the interior on your defensive line. I believe Ross Blacklock is an appropriate pick right here. Very strong and athletic defensive tackle. I like the fit for Tennessee. I believe he can come in and start for this team right away. And I like this pick right here at number 29 overall. The Packers at number 30 go Jalen Reagor, wide receiver out of TCU. This is a guy that has game-changing speed, and to me, he would be a bigger and much more faster version of Randall Cobb. And listen, Aaron Rodgers, he needs help. He needs some help on offense. Outside Devontae Adams last year, the Packers really had no one else to rely on. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Geronimo Allison, and Alan Lazard were just quite frankly not getting it done. Now, the Packers did sign Devin Funchess in the offseason. I like that signing, but I still want them to add another wide receiver to help out Aaron Rodgers. This is a guy they can move around the slot, that you can create mismatches with, and Jalen Reagor, like I said, he just has game-changing speed. I believe he will provide a much-needed spark for this Packers passing attack for next year. Aaron Rodgers is getting a little bit older, so again, you want to, elevate his game a little bit and, give him some more added targets that he can really rely on. I think that Jalen Reagor is a slam dunk pick for the Packers at number 30 just because I really like the fit right here. Jeff Gladney will go to the 49ers at number 31 overall in this year's draft. In my mock draft, listen, I think that Jeff Gladney has a chance to be a steal at this point right here. I think that Jeff Gladney is one of the more underrated players in this entire draft. I think he's a very smart, instinctive quarterback. You can move around a lot. He can play on the outside. He can play in the slot. He's just a very good, solid overall cover corner that's very quick, very savvy. And I do believe that Robert Saleh will find a lot of creative ways to use him on defense. I just really like this pick right here for the 49ers. Very tough, very smart player. Outside of Richard Sherman, the 49ers don't really have a lot of great defensive backs that I feel good about. I like Jeff Gladney to the 49ers at number 31. And last but not least, the Chiefs go A.J. Terrell, the cornerback out of Clemson. Now, they could go running back right here, but I think the days of drafting running backs in the first round is kind of over. I mean, unless you have a Saquon Barkley or an Ezekiel Elliott, a generational talent at that position, you don't need to go running back in the first round. So I went defensive back right here. They just lost Kendall Fuller, so they need someone to fill that void. I think that Terrell still needs to develop as a player. Maybe is not quite ready to start day number 1 for this team, but long term, if he reaches his full potential, he could be a very good, solid cornerback at the next level. I like this pick for the Chiefs right here. So there you have it. That is my mock draft. Be sure to comment where you agree with me and disagree with me. Love to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section.